From calling him the man to hinting that Leon Edwards is afraid of fighting another wrestler, Uncle Dana is not too pleased with his new champ for avoiding Colby Covington. And why would he be? What did you expect when one of his fighters refuses to take a fight? Rocky first made the statement that he doesn't think Colby deserves a shot during the post-fight press conference at UFC 286.
I don't know how that makes sense, you know. You had fought for over a year and a half. Sat out, not injured. I just don't get how he just slides in for the world title shot.
And he reiterated that a few days later at the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani.
On the weigh-in day, when I seen on Twitter that Colby's Covington was weighed in, I was like, what? What's he weighing in for? Then obviously it makes sense that he was a backup fighter, right?
But the thing is that Dana had already announced that fight. So Leon refusing it afterward was kind of disrespectful toward the UFC boss.
It's scheduled though, right? Isn't? No? Never happened? Welcome to boxing, boys. I mean, is it shocking? Yes. Is it shocking? No. I mean, it's just, that is boxing. It's just the way that sport...
Especially because he was given a title shot himself after so many of his fights got canceled. He's really in no position to refuse any right now. Maybe after he defends his title a couple of more times, then he gets to call the shots around the division. And I'm a little surprised that Dana didn't respond to this in his usual fashion. He decided to take a different approach to Leon. You see, guys, the UFC head honcho doesn't take too kindly when a fighter wants to go against his wishes. He's been known to throw even some of his best champs under the bus if they refuse to fight for whatever reason. Just remember what he said about Francis Ngannou not that long ago, but he wasn't as harsh on Edwards. When asked by the reporters on what he thought about the welterweight champ's take on Covington's title shot, Dana simply responded that the Chaos deserves the next title fight.
I thought I should have got a warning at least, like a final, like this is the final warning, you know, but he just took the point straight away and, but yeah,
you know, obviously Leon did a great job, you know, especially if you compare it to the first fight.
He also added that he doesn't really blame Leon for not wanting that fight, because he just got through Usman twice, and now he's looking at another wrestler with a funky style. But that's just how life's going to be as the champion. Everyone's going to come for the title, and Rocky has to fend off straight killers 3 times in a year. Dana even told him that he's the man. That's just too nice by the boss's standards, if you ask me. But of course, he's going to be careful with a young new champion who just took out Kamaru Usman twice. So he tried pumping him up a little by telling him that he's the guy and that people are going to take turns to have a go at him now. But it's going to be Colby next. No discussion about that. According to White, it's a complete no-brainer for him. In a world where Usman doesn't exist, the Chaos would have been the king of welterweights because he's been there forever and he even showed up for UFC 286. He cut weight, did everything he needed to be the backup fighter for that title match. And him sitting out for a year doesn't matter to Dana.
Anybody in the world, I'm ready any place, anytime, anyone. So yeah, you know, Mike, I gave Leon the best advice he could ever get the other day. I said, don't cross your boss.
Colby got jumped and was injured from his altercation outside the octagon with Jorge Masvidal, so he still deserves the next shot at the UFC gold. But it's not only Edwards that doesn't want to see Colby fighting for the title next. A lot of pundits, fans, and analysts are also not sold on the idea, especially because it leaves guys like Bilal Muhammad and Khamzat Chimaev out to dry. You know, fighters who've really been active and have impressed the fans with their performances in the cage. So maybe Colby is just riding the Dana White privilege. It's true that he won against Masvidal last year, but he has lost to the Nigerian Nightmare twice. Is he really worthy of another crack at the crown? Or should the newer guys be given the chance now? I mean, Colby decided to sit out for a year because he got a brain injury from Gamebred allegedly assaulting him, but people knew why he hasn't actually fought for over a year. That's because he just didn't want to be in a match where he couldn't directly win the welterweight bout. How can someone be that sure that they're safe as the top contender in the division? And now he feels as if he can give advice to the reigning champ. After Edwards said that Covington doesn't deserve the title shot, the Chaos spoke out during an interview with MMA Fighting.
Yeah, I don't know when we'll do it, but yeah, that's the fight that makes sense. And Colby came here and cut weight, you know, and did everything to be here for this fight. He deserves the fight.
So it's Leon Edwards, man.
Not to mention the fact that he's, you know, the second or third best guy in the world.
He told Rocky that he's going to get his ass whooped and that he should never look to cross his boss. He's going to learn it the hard way if he keeps at it. I know that Dana ultimately calls the shots around the promotion, but the opinion of the reigning champion should have some weight on these decisions. Edwards thinks that since Colby hasn't fought in over a year, he should take a fight with another contender before making his case. He lost twice to Usman and only won against an aging Masvidal, and that kinda does make some sense. Leon also added that he took the fight against Chimaev thrice in a row, and even though Colby dodged it, he's still getting rewarded for it. When Rocky had to miss out on that fight against the Boers, he was removed from the rankings, but that isn't the case with Covington. So the Chaos really does receive preferential treatment from the UFC boss. As you can expect, Colby doesn't agree with that take. He said that Leon doesn't get to make the calls around the division yet. The new champ hasn't really defended his title. He just fought a shell of a man in Usman who was more focused on filming Wakanda Forever than on the fight at hand. Colby didn't stop there, though. He decided to go after the journalists who'd been questioning White's decision to award the title fight to him. The number one contender called him pathetic. According to him, they were the same people who were trying to get Dana canceled for the Power Slap League. Edwards is just looking for easy fights, and he knows that if he fights Colby, he's going to lose his title too soon. He even has a date in mind.
If Usman doesn't exist, Colby's been the champ now for a while, and he's been there forever. He cut the weight, he showed up to fill in for that fight, and a million other reasons why he deserves that fight.
Colby wants to fight Leon during the International Fight Week in July, but he's open to any date that the UFC wants to offer him. I think July would be too soon for the reigning champ anyway. He just came off 2 back-to-back fights against the likes of the Nigerian Nightmare and would probably want to take some time off before he fights again. That mixed with the fact that Edwards doesn't really want to face Colby anyway, but the Chaos thinks that he's going to get that title shot anyway. It may not even be against Leon. You see, guys, Colby thinks that if Rocky doesn't take the fight, then he's going to get stripped of the belt, because the new champ isn't even the biggest draw in the division. The 35-year-old thinks that his numbers were way higher over the weekend of the fight.
My official standing and all the UFC brass, Dana White, Ari Emanuel, Hunter Campbell, they've all said the same thing. I'm fighting for the world championship, the undisputed world championship this summer, Mike.
Higher than even those of Usman, because no one wants to see these guys. They're nobodies. They have no personalities, no charisma, and they need the belt to just stay relevant on the roster. Colby also gave Leon a reality check by telling him that he's no Conor McGregor and that he doesn't make the promotion nearly enough money. That's kind of true, to be honest.
But I just don't see how Colby just sits out for a year, not injured, and then just sliding for a title shot. When I had to wear my 12 fights to get there, and
Historically, the fighters that have made Dana the most money can get away with almost anything, and it's a fact that Colby is by far the fan favorite of the bunch. He sells a lot of pay-per-views, which is what the UFC is mostly concerned about. So I'm pretty sure that Colby versus Leon is what we're going to see next. Dana's been pretty clear on his stance on this from day one, and I really don't see it changing anytime soon. That's all been the latest on the whole Edwards refusing Covington situation.